Let's face it, it is tough having the birds and the bees conversation with your children, right? It's never comfortable for anyone involved. But what if the conversation became even more difficult by inserting in vitro fertilization into the dialogue? It might become an even more daunting task, right? Well, here to help us simplify that conversation is Claudia Santorelli Bates, author of the book, I Can't Wait to Meet You, here in my hands. And she joins us as part of our book author series. Welcome to the show, Claudia.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's just go ahead and jump right to the point. The birds and the bees conversation with the added element of in vitro fertilization. Why was this important to you?
Well, when I was going through in vitro fertilization, there were so many people around me who were also going through the same thing. And I thought someday people are going to want to share their story with their child. For me, growing up, my mom shared the birds and the bees very early, and it really empowered me and boosted my self-esteem. When all the other kids around me kind of thought the stork was flying a baby in, I knew exactly what the real facts were, and I really wanted to pass that on to my daughter. And her story is different. And so this was a love letter to my daughter before she was born of how she came to be, and I wanted her to know how wanted and loved she was before we even had her, and that it would kind of simplify the complicated.
The complicated
It's a complicated process by any standards, I think. And it's complicated for adults.
Sure.
And so this was a way to kind of make it simple and understandable, and also to pass along how special and wanted the child was.
The child is. And you've done this in a way, it's easy to understand, fun to understand, pictures, illustrations that make it I guess accessible is a great word. Why do you think that children need to know how they were conceived?
I mean, I think it's important for any child to know how they came to be, and I think it's an empowering thing. And I also think that when you're going through something like in vitro fertilization, so many people around you know your child's story. So my friends would know, my parents would know, and I wouldn't want a second-hand person or party passing along the information incorrectly. And so I want to be in charge of how the story is told, and also the part of how loved the child is might not come across as with someone like a cousin telling a child how, you know, you were born through in vitro fertilization. It might come as a negative to your child.
So you really think it is important for that conversation to be one between parent and child?
I think it's a very important conversation to have with your child before they have it with anyone else.
Do you think it, coming from the parent and having this conversation, and especially in an approachable way like this, do you think it creates a deeper bond between parent and child?
I think it creates a mutual respect, and also that the child knows that the parent trusted them with their information, that they weren't too young possibly to understand this, and that the parent was including them in their own story. And I think that's really an empowering thing to do. And it's empowering for the child.
And do you think that for parents who are watching that are thinking about the birds and the bees conversation, that aren't necessarily excited about having it, do you think this would also be a resource or a tool for them, even if they didn't conceive through in vitro?
I think it can easily be a tool for parents who haven't done in vitro fertilization, because all the kind of facts are in the book. And nowadays, the number is 7.3 million in the United States of families who are doing assisted reproduction. And so the birds and the bees are not going to be told by a neighbor the same exact way. You know, Johnny might have been conceived differently from Joey. Right. And so nowadays there's a technical birds and the bees, and there's so many different layers. And I think this is a great starting off point to have a dialogue with your child, to begin the conversation with them.
It's a great resource. Well, it's been so much fun having you here, because what an interesting topic, something you don't think about all the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
We appreciate you being here. And if you want more information there at home on Claudia or her book, and again, it's I Can't Wait to Meet You, just check out the website, ican'twaittomeetyou.com.